Book Dragons, I'm back. So my voice has been going in and out and it's probably going to keep doing that, so I apologize. But I am here for my November reading wrap-up part 2. And hey, I had a pretty good reading month overall. I think that when I do readathons, and I'm trying to do one every month pretty much, it tends to throw off my reading a little bit just because like I'm really at the beck and call of prompts, especially when I'm not choosing the books that I'm reading, which is what this one is. The other readathons I'm doing this month, I get to choose a lot of things, which I'm really excited about. But like this past one, the Get a Clue readathon, I will try to link Rainy below if I remember. But yeah, it was just a fun time. Like I had a really good time. I still don't know who won. I don't know if they announced that yet. But I wound up finishing 9 things in the month, the second half of November. And stat-wise, that gave me 15 reads, which is actually pretty good. But we're going to get into them, and then at the very end, I will do stats. So, the first thing that I finished reading was The Ballad of Never After by Stephanie Garber. I actually met her earlier in the month, and I was just in the mood to do a read. So I finished this. I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. It is a solid sequel, and I think that this book was probably one of the most unique books I've read, and I just loved Stephanie's writing style. I love the characters. It was a very fairy tale-esque story, which is very different from Caraval, and I liked it. It was like a book that just captured me, and I just loved the characters, and it was like a really quick read for a read that's like over 400 pages. This is also my really pretty fairy lit edition, which I will definitely be keeping. But yeah, I gave it 4 stars and definitely wasn't happy to bounce back into a series. Sometimes when I read sequels, I get really lucky and they work for me like this one did. Oh, sorry, my mom interrupted me, so I don't know where I left off. But I wound up giving this book 5 stars. I really liked it, and I just thought that it was a fairy tale-esque story. And again, that's what I was remembering from what I was saying. Sometimes when I read sequels, I don't have the best reading experience because I forget so much. But I felt like this book was a nice continuation. I didn't think I needed to reread a lot, which I think was important, which was not the experience that I had when I read or tried to read These Violent Ends. I felt very lost. But this is a fairy tale-esque story, and I just think it works. I gave it 5 stars. And then, let me see. My computer is not gonna... I also got a new laptop this week, too, so a lot of editing stuff on that way as well. I also finished when I was in Y'all Fest, I finished Spy Family Volume 4. This was for a prompt that I had to read a book that had a TV adaptation, and Spy Family has been adapted. I don't know, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I gave it like 3 stars. It was a fun read, very quick. I like the found family elements, and it was just a quick read. I have 2 more volumes that I have bought, so I hope I get around to them soon. This was a fun read, and happy that I finally picked it up. Again, I don't read a ton of manga, but this series is definitely a new favorite. And then the next book I picked up was a audiobook, and that is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. I will attach a photo here. This series like totally out of order. I read this book last, and this is technically like the first book in the series, but I really like this book. I gave it 5 stars. I think I gave them all 5 stars, and this is like Stars Hollow vibes, but I think it's Stars Hollow vibes with enough of a twist. This is also a nice early Christmas read. I would say like a November read. And you don't really get a lot of those. I just really liked it. I love the small town vibes. I love the Christmas tree farm, and unlike a book I'm going to talk about in a little bit, I thought that this was like a twist and like inspired by and showed the love for Gilmore Girls and those vibes, but I didn't feel like it was like a ripoff of the story. But I really liked it. I love all the side characters. I love seeing how the characters kind of developed, and I really am excited to see Business Casual coming up in 2024, and I really might like reread the other books in the series soon because they were just a really fun time. So Love Light Farms, definitely a 5-star read, and if you're looking for kind of a low-key winter read, I would pick it up. And then the next book that I picked up was the sequel and a final book, which is Who Am I reading sequels and final books? Who Am I? Is A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, and this book was really good. I think that Stephanie Garber definitely went for it in this book. There was a lot of elements into the story that I did not see coming at all. but I thought that it was like a solid end to a series. I really liked it. I thought that the characters, we got a new point of view in the story, which I think really enhanced it. And sometimes I don't love that when you change the point of views in a story. These books do not match, unfortunately, but I did get my Fairy Loot, the other edition, so that was so exciting. But yeah, I just liked it. I thought that it was a solid read. I like the characters. I really am excited to see what Stephanie Garber is working on next. But this series worked for me, and I think I probably prefer this series to Caraval a little bit, just because it was more like fairy tale-esque and not as like twisty and turny. But I really did like it. I like the characters, and I like that it didn't necessarily rely a ton on the Caraval series. Book 1 in the series did rely on it, and Jax is like a continuous character in this, so I would definitely call it a spin-off. I think you should probably read Caraval before you dive into these, just to understand Jax as a character. But I loved it. I gave it 5 stars, and I'm really curious to see what she's working on next, because this book was definitely a hit for me. And the next book that I finished reading for this month was The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. I will attach a photo here. This was the book that I was talking about, that I felt like it was too much on the nose for like a Gilmore Girls story, and I felt like it wasn't as unique. Like, I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It was a quick read. It had a subtle hint of like a mystery element to it at the very, very end. I would not call it romantic suspense like at all, but I would call it a romantic mystery. It had like a subplot, very like insta love, but I liked the small town vibes. I liked the elements. I didn't love the main character, I'll be very, very honest, but I am curious to see like where the other books in the series goes. But it was fun. I gave it 4 stars, and I'm happy that I picked it up again. This was another like fall read, which I'm always on the hunt for those, and it just was a fun time, and I gave it 4 stars for review. And then the next physical book, one of the last physical books I read, because I was having a hard time picking up anything that I liked, was The Rosewood Hunt by Mackenzie Reed, and I struggled with this one a little bit. I didn't feel that connected to the main characters, and the plot was not what I wanted, and I just felt like a little bit disconnected. But it was supposed to be like an inheritance game story. Basically about this main character named Lily, and her grandmother is this owner of this big company. She dies unexpectedly, and the company kind of doesn't get handed over to anyone. So she has to team up with these 4 kids to kind of figure out what is happening and about this mystery hunt to kind of get their college money, and things kind of go from there. So it was not my favorite. I liked it. I was in promised like inheritance games, Midnight's Out, and I didn't get neither. So I was a little bit disappointed in this one, but I would read more about this author in the future. But the characters didn't capture me, and the plot was not as high stakes as I was looking for. So it only got 3 stars. And then the next, I read 3 audiobooks in a row. I just was having a really hard time. I picked up Threads That Bind because I was going to read all the Goodreads Choice Awards, and that was a semifinalist, and then it didn't make it. And then I picked up These Violent Ends, and I couldn't get into it, so I put that one down. But in that hunt, when I was just trying to find stuff, I wound up picking up A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I will attach a photo here. It was just a quickie, like it was a quick robot story about a monk and a robot that kind of team up, and they're kind of venturing around. Sorry, people keep interrupting me, but I did really like that one. It was a quick read about a monk, a tea monk, and a robot that have to kind of work together to kind of like adventure, and I thought it was cute. I gave it 4 stars. And I haven't read a sci-fi book in a while, and it just sort of worked for me. I want to go back and read Becky Chambers' other series, and I want to wrap up this series hopefully soon. Maybe even this month. We'll see. Well, in December before the end of the year. But it was fun. I really liked it. It was just a fun read. Very, very like sci-fi light, and I thought it was like very, very slice of life, and definitely LGBTQ+, which I really, really enjoyed, and it was just a fun time. And then the next thing I picked up was, oh man, look at my spreadsheet. I think it was Murder at Royal Ruby. I think, let me just look, 90% sure. Yeah, and this is the new short story by Nita Prose, the author of The Maid, and I wanted to read it because it was a quick read. It was like 24 pages, but here is the photo. And this was a super quick read. It was like literally 24 pages. It took place, was like an Usher story, and the leading lady was killed. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna tell you, because it was a very, very quick read. But I liked it. I like Nita prose. I really, really like stories set in theaters, because I'm a theater teacher and it's just fun, and like there's a lot of drama that happens in a play, and I just thought it was a fun story. It was very, very quick. I listened to it in like 20 minutes, so it probably didn't count for anything in my readathon, but I really, really liked it. And then the last book that I read, as I said, I was having a lot of problems with physical reads, was Christmas at the Cupcake Cafe by Jenny Cogman. I will touch a photo here. And this was a Christmas story. Again, I like these. They're not my favorite. They're very like slice of life and not a lot of romantic tension. The characters are very, very British, and I don't think I really like the humor all that much. But I just wanted to read something, and I had to read something that had like food in the title, and it worked. It wasn't my favorite, and I have read Jenny Cogman before, but again, her humor and her stories don't always work for me. But this was just a quick book, and I needed something for the prom, so I picked it up. So, sorry, I'm also trying to drink more water. That's also why I'm like incredibly dehydrated like all day. But yeah, I'm gonna do my stats just because I find them interesting and no one else really does, but that's okay. People, you know, don't love that, but I do. So I'm doing it for me. As always, I make these videos for myself and I just post them for fun. So yeah, let me look at my stats. So stat-wise, according to Cassidy's spreadsheet, which I hope she makes next year, is going to be total books read 15, total pages read 4,609, average of pages a day is 153, average page count 307. Most art drama is romance. I did have quite a few romances. Book what rep is 3. Books from authors I read before is 6. I had 4 5 stars, 7 4 stars, 4 3.5 stars for an average rating of 413, which is actually pretty good for me. Format breakdown, I read 6 physical, 8 audio, 1 ebook, and I read series breakdown. I started 6 series. I continued in 3. I completed... Oh, I definitely completed 1. I have to fix that. Alright, I have to fix that. Series completed, it says 0, but I definitely finished 1. Series caught up with this 3, and standalone is 5. I have 7. I read 3 arcs, 7 from Audible, 1 from KU, 4 owned, and none from Scribd. I did get Scribd for a year, so I'm excited for that. And genre breakdown, I read 1 fantasy, 4 romance, 1 YA contemporary, 1 historical romance, 1 middle grade fantasy, 2 mystery, and 2 YA fantasy. So yeah, that is my wrap up. I hope you guys like it. I'm going to give you guys a lot more content starting next week for my version of Bookmas, so make sure you guys stay subscribed, and I will talk to you guys soon for another video. Bye!